Welcome to the Rise Inside podcast, hosted by Justin Starbird and powered by RISE Robotics. Listen as host Justin talks to experts from the RISE team about topics relating to mechanical engineering, industrial design, commercialization, and innovation. True collaborations work when ideas are integrated at inception to solve significant problems. Rise Inside brings together how the team continues to work with great folks to commercialize ideas. You're listening to the Rise Inside podcast. Here's your host, Justin Starbird.
Welcome back to the Rise Inside podcast. My name is Justin Starbird, and I get to welcome back Ken Gray, who's, I don't know how many times we've done this, but it's been several, and every time we keep getting better.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's probably more. We've done this more times than our listeners care to count. It's probably the way to say it. Yeah, thank you. Always nice to talk with you, my friend.
Yeah, of course. Well, the difference today is that there have been several several shows since you and I actually did this. So, a lot of new listeners maybe don't know Ken Gray yet.
Lucky them. Lucky them. There we go.
There we go. Thank you so much for joining me. For those that don't know, we are continuing our Inside RISE series to get to know the team that is making the ascension of RISE Robotics complete. And this is pretty exciting. So Ken Gray is with me today. He is the Chief Product Officer for RISE. So formally, thank you for joining me again.
Thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, well, let's get started with a couple of similar questions that I've asked some of the other team members, and that is, how do you go about describing RISE to your friends and family?
That's a real, wow, that's an excellent question. For me, I always talk about it being an enabling technology to lay people. RISE has technology that allows equipment big equipment that we want to electrify to really be viable running on batteries because of how efficient it is. And we really focus on that technology, but we're very much focused on improving the efficiency of what they've known. I've loved working on my whole life, big equipment that rolls around and moves things. And it's an opportunity to do things more efficiently than we've ever been able to do it before. And that's what we do. That's what RISE does.
Yeah. And it's a pretty unique mission. And since you and I guess started in these roles, of course things have changed and evolved, and in fact your title even changed 6 months ago. But tell me, what does the Chief Product Officer do here at RISE?
Yeah, one of my LinkedIn friends and someone who became a friend saw the acronym CPO, and he said, "What is CPO? Is that Chief People Officer or Chief Product, or what is that?" And I said, one of the things you have to keep in mind at a business this size, 30-ish employees, is that we do a lot of different things. And what I think my primary role is to bring experiences that I have had in my previous roles over several decades in the heavy machinery business to RISE, not to prevent them from making mistakes, but just to make sure that they make new ones that I never conceived of before. But the Chief Product Officer has the responsibility for brand and marketing at one level. We don't do sales. So we still have the business development function under my watch. We don't do sales. We don't do a tremendous amount of outreach. We do a lot of response to people that learn about our technology and its potential, and work toward developing a collaboration with them to at least investigate the feasibility of improving their product, and ideally work together engineering something new. And then I have the product management team working for me as well. I've brought in a couple of seasoned industry veterans that are, I think of as my peers, quite frankly, actually my superiors in a couple of cases, and depending on what we're doing. But we're putting the processes into place to move RISE from an R&D, research and development type of an organization to a product development kind of an organization. So we're moving from the research phase of this startup to the application phase and the building phase and the commercialization phase of this business, and that's in large part what my product team does.
Yeah, certainly there have been not a lot of empty spots on your calendar to even do this event.
Yeah, it's it's packed, and I also program my days. So I will put focus time on my calendar, for the things that I want to work on. So absolutely, many things are, half my day might be meetings, but the other half of my day is programmed for the things that I want to focus on. I might be working on on a joint venture or a development agreement with someone, and I want to focus on that. I also program activities into my day. So I'm very big on getting out and moving around after breakfast and after lunch and after dinner. So I actually have those things laid out on my calendar. It says something like, morning activity and reading, I think is what the first meeting says. But I start my day reading and then and walk at least a mile, probably a mile and a half. And then lunchtime is get lunch in and walk another mile and a half. And then I do the same at dinner time. But I just want to get out and keep moving. I think, I've heard this expression lately that sitting is the new smoking, in our generation. So I just want to get out there and get moving.
Yeah, and that it's so important, and really that's the industry that we're catering to. Folks that are out there moving, they're doing stuff. It's an active space. In no way, shape, or form does our technology really, help with being passive.
No. In fact, it's all about moving it faster too, right?
That's right.
Move it faster, move it further, move it more efficiently. Move it more quietly. That's another way to think of it. And that's, one of the things I like to examine with potential collaborators is what are they looking to improve in the machine? And this technology is very, very light compared to hydraulics. It's faster. It is powerful. It's reliable, durable, and extraordinarily efficient. It's also very, very quiet, remarkably quiet. So, and you've been in the lab, you've been able to, you and I have been able to have a normal conversation standing next to this equipment operating in the lab, and that's just a testament to how quiet it is.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about, what your background was like, before RISE. I know you and I actually, we've talked about this on previous episodes where, we know each other now, oh, goodness gracious, over 10 years. What tell us a little bit about what you did before.
Yeah, well, I'm educated as an engineer and a mechanical engineer. My mom tells the story that when I came home from Mrs. Summers' second grade class, I told her that I was going to work for Caterpillar, and she said the word she used was that I told her I was going to be an engineer and design machines for Caterpillar. Not sure I knew what an engineer was into my early 20s exactly, but I'll go with the words she used. So I lived the dream. I got to do exactly what I wanted to do in my childhood. I worked for Caterpillar for well over 30 years. Had assignments in Japan twice. I had the privilege of living in Brussels as well. Los Angeles twice, which I also consider to be a foreign assignment. Chicago area as well. So I got to travel around with my family, and spent the first third of my career designing equipment, the middle of my career marketing equipment, doing product marketing work, which I think is extremely important. Because product marketing is two-way. It's understanding what customers need and translating that into requirements for engineers to develop product. And then it's also, once you've got the product, translating that back into, sales arguments so that salespeople understand, how to put to work what your engineering team has done. And then the last third of my career was executive leadership. So I managed 2 of Caterpillar's large businesses worldwide, and then had the privilege of being their first global director of innovation for the company as well. And then it's been 6 years ago that I retired, and whatever that word is, as my favorite mentor, Ed Rapp's fond of saying, Ken has failed at retirement. So I did take a sabbatical, a serious year off with my family. And then my wife and I found a place we found a home that needed to be completely rebuilt. The jungle had reclaimed it on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And we spent 2.5 years rebuilding, renovating it. And as our family retreat, we're now here. Along the way, I did some other things. I've done some nonprofit work. Central Illinois Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired is something I've been very passionate about. The University of Iowa Institute for Vision Research is another passion of mine. And then I was a board member for Fruth Innovative Technologies, who Carl Fruth and his company in Germany has one of the most advanced people say 3D printing. I don't like that phrase. Additive manufacturing application companies in the world, designing for additive. An incredible company that Carl has. I was privileged to be a part of that for a while, and then Aaron was after me to come work for him at RISE. I was looking back. My first email with Aaron, our CEO, was in 2018. And I came to work for RISE in January of 2021 to be the VP of Business Development, and so there we go. That's one breath I did that.
Yeah, it's a lot that you've done over the course of your career, certainly, and even in your retirement.
And what that is. My dad said that I was talking about mom earlier. My late great father said that one of the secrets to longevity is meaningful work. And at this point in my career, I want to do work that matters, work that really truly makes a difference. And so really my goal is to help RISE Robotics be successful. And to be successful, RISE is going to help, equipment manufacturers make much better equipment, much more efficient equipment, and allow them to take advantage of the electrification mega trend that's occurring everywhere. But to really allow the efficiency of this technology will allow them to take advantage of it for heavy equipment as well. And I think that really has a chance to matter. And that's why I wanted to do this.
You mentioned that I was going to go in a different direction, but you just said that, the electrification is a mega trend. It's more than that though, right? It's a direction. It's a direction in, you're seeing it in our personal lives, you're seeing it at work, you're seeing it in all spaces. But what RISE is really doing is actually helping an entire industry potentially get there that really doesn't have any other roadmap.
Yeah, my friend and colleague Doug Pedersen calls this technology the missing link, or at least the potential missing link. And most construction, mining, material handling manufacturers, don't even consider anything other than hydraulics to push and pull loads, because there's never been a technology with the ability to do it other than hydraulics. And why is that bad? Well, it's not bad. It's, hydraulics have their place. It's a very power dense, effective tool that's everywhere. The problem with it is that it's not very efficient. A lot about if it's a diesel machine, you know, arguably about 15% of the potential energy locked up in diesel fuel ever gets to move a load. There's so many inefficiencies in the system, and a lot of that inefficiency is in the diesel engine. It's losses in the engine itself, but a massive part of that is in the hydraulic system. So this technology unlocks the opportunity to completely electrify. Otherwise, the batteries are just so huge that you can't possibly do the job electrically in construction and mining, like big excavators or loaders or those types of tools.
Sure. And you mentioned, a couple of things there about, doing meaningful work and seeing the vision. What about it really, made Aaron's recruitment of you, Arron Acosta's recruitment of you back in 2018 resonate? Because at the time, you left your corporate job. You were able to work on your passion projects, and we'll get to those in a second, especially related to working with folks with disabilities. And then also, you did some consulting for the additive manufacturer, and that was pretty good in keeping you busy. What about this really made you feel like you couldn't pass this opportunity up?
It was probably a past shortcoming, Justin. There was an article in Forbes magazine back in, I don't know when it was, 2014, 2013, 2014. It was the title of it, I think, was Caterpillar turns fast fail into, I don't know, some success or something like that. And it was about one of the programs that I managed, and I hated to see that them describing failure, and is one of the programs I managed. But what we were really trying to do was create an all-electric excavator, and we ended up falling short of it back in that time frame because the power required to push loads was just so significant that the cost of that machine was, at that time, again, it was 2013, 2014, the cost of the machine, the size of the batteries, just was prohibitive. And the reason it was prohibitive is because the hydraulic system was not efficient enough, at least in my estimation, for us to move forward with that machine. And what I really needed was a more efficient way to move loads so that I could electrify that machine. And when Aaron first started, when he first approached me back in 2018, I loved the concept of RISE. RISE is basically the RISE technology, or RISE cylinder, is basically a block and tackle that uses belts to move load. It's steel reinforced polyurethane belts that were originally developed for elevator applications. And the concept is great. Love the concept. But it wasn't in a commercial ready form in 2018. By 2021, they had identified the first commercial application, the Anthony Liftgate one that we've gone to, we've announced here recently. And so at that point, once they had a product that certainly still had we still have a lot of work to do. I want to be very transparent about that. But when I saw the product in 2021, I realized that this fantastic idea that they have and the patents that they have actually are materializing in such a way that industrial OEMs are gonna want this. The only thing holding this back is awareness right now.
Yep. And what about your previous experience? Do you see lends itself to, like you mentioned at the very beginning, not making the same mistakes, but making ones that we've never thought of?
Well, we know, as you move into a new technology, you're going to make mistakes that others have never made because you're blazing, a new path, right? But my experience has been around translating customer requirements into design and product management, program management for my whole career. So, and RISE is real expertise has been in research and development. So, my expertise in combination with theirs, I bring a ton of customer experience, a ton of product development experience into this arena. That's experience that they don't have. And as I mentioned earlier, I've gone out and recruited up people who I consider my peers, superiors, and as I said, actually my superiors. I can't believe they work for me, but these are people that have that product development and customer experience as well. So, that's what we're bringing. We're bringing, between, in my team, we have over 120 years of product development experience, leadership experience, and that's something that RISE would take a very long time to acquire without going out and bringing people in like us.
Yep. Speaking of, a couple of topics we touched on before, you're very active outside of RISE. You would attempted to retire previously, but even through your,
I did it. This is what retirement is. So who told me this recently? Retirement is simply making time for doing the things that you're passionate about. Yeah. That's a fantastic definition of what retirement is. I'll take it.
And you're doing it. And outside of RISE, not that a lot of people are getting to know some of the passions that you have, and also some insight into the personal, I don't want to say struggles, but obstacles that you've had to overcome in your career. You want to talk a little bit about some of those projects that you're on now?
Well, I don't get to work so much with them anymore since we moved from Illinois, but one of my passions is go check out their website. It's CICBVI.org, Central Illinois Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired.org. One of the things that I think is so cool about the Blind Center, and again, I don't get to work with them nearly as much as I would like to anymore. That's the home of the white cane. When we think of innovation, the red tip white cane was invented in Peoria, Illinois, at the CICBVI, and at the predecessing or the parent organizations that formed CICBVI. And that white cane is on display at the Peoria Riverfront Museum, and it's an historical artifact in the community. So, that organization exists today to take care of people who are blind and visually impaired or visually impaired that live in that central Illinois area. Very important, long time running organization that is obviously very important to me. And then the other one that I love to work with as well is Dr. Ed Stone's Institute for Vision Research at the University of Iowa. And I'll use my words to describe what they're doing. They are working to democratize very sophisticated treatments of inherited eye diseases. So incredibly difficult diseases to treat, like Stargardt's is a great example. But these are inherited diseases of the eye, and their work is to figure out a way to make those treatments affordable to everyone. And they have been historically incredibly expensive. I would say that everything that the IVR does is shareware. So any of the work that they do, they publish and make it available to anybody. They're philosophically, it's just incredible what Dr. Stone and his team are working on. So that's always been and will always be a passion of mine. And all that comes from my family probably having an inherited eye a retinal disease of our own to deal with, and I am one of them. I'm one of the kids that has that. I'm one of the male children. It's an X recessive disease in my family, which means the women in my mom's family carry it on to their male children, and about half of us are affected by this. And it's called I am a BCM. I'm a blue cone monochromat, which is an extremely rare disease of the retina. Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I'm sure that my eyesight is it informed my experience. So I've not taken for granted how to figure out how to do things that all of you with normal eyesight, whatever normal is, take for granted that you're able to do. So, I think that, and the men that have this, the men in my family, or I should say the men that are afflicted with this, they are either overachievers, I'll raise my hand, or they're homebound, and there's really nothing in between. And our acuity is the same, but I think roughly the same. But I think what happens, it's a lot of it probably depends on environment and whether you take, something like this on as a challenge to overcome or not. And for me, I've never, I was born this way, and my eyesight's never changed appreciably since I was 7 years old.
Yep.
And my dad's attitude was, we're going to leave Ken in public school and he's going to figure out how to compete. And there's just never a question. He's going to university. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. I just never thought about it in any other way. We're just going to go do this.
Yeah. And you helped the folks here at RISE, get an inside glimpse a little bit of what you've dealt with over the course of your career. We went back and we did a series here about, for the Disability Pride
Disabilities
Month.
Yeah,
right. And in July, and not only have we heard your story, but also Rosa Henderson, and then we also who works for you, and then a member of your team, and keeps you in line. And then
no doubt.
And then we brought in some experts from outside as well to talk about how employers are able to give support to their employees, so that one, of course, they're retaining their talents and their drive, but then two, giving them the resources that they need to be successful, and doing it in a way where it feels inclusive, not exclusive. And this is something that is actually a lot more attainable for employers than most people realize.
It is, and we'll do some more. We should say in October. October is Blindness Awareness Month, so we'll do a couple of more podcasts on this topic in the Rise Inside podcast. Thank you very much. Just a shameless plug there for you, Justin.
Yeah.
But it is easy, and I don't think employers realize how easy it is. And we went through Rosa Henderson's employment story, and one of the issues with people who are blind and visually impaired who have other impairments as well is there's a very significant amount of underemployment. Sure, they have jobs, but society tend to put them in jobs that are, beneath the limits of their capability, well beneath the limits of their capability. And I met Rosa, who is a product support person, and we'll be talking with her last employer too, the eSight eyewear team. I met her as a user of eSight eyewear, and she was my teacher, my instructor, and she did such an awesome job. And I was so impressed with her ability to teach technology and listen to what I needed, and translate that back to their engineering group, get me support. She did a great job. I decided that she needed a full-time role at RISE that will eventually be. Now she's keeping me out of trouble, as you point out, but I think her ultimate destination is a role where she's helping customers solve their problems, and that's where I think she's ultimately headed here.
Yeah. And we're as a company moving, toward that as well, not just um, helping solve the customer's problems, but it's a diverse workplace and it really does provide opportunities for folks, as long as their skills match, regardless of where they're coming from. And I think that part is one of the more cool things about RISE.
Yeah, and I think we know that, we are very, very confident that, diverse perspectives and diverse experiences contribute to better output, better team output. So, we're not diverse for diversity's sake. We're selfish. we're diverse because it helps improve the performance of the business. It's a fact. And we want to build a better business. Goes back to my role. My role is to help RISE be successful.
Yeah.
And to significantly increase its average age. Those are really my two roles.
Well, I guess you're doing both of those well, and no, you point out a couple of things though that you're looking at. Where do and reasons to be optimistic, and I don't want to turn this conversation negative, but where do you see some obstacles right in front of us now?
It's like anything new. I think the biggest obstacles are around resistance. I like the word reticence better, resistance to change or reticence to change. I mean, we're really comfortable, humans, with the way we've always done things. And we're, by definition, asking industrial equipment manufacturers to try something that's radically different. And it's a little bit like, back in the mid 80s, when one of the big auto manufacturers took a gasoline engine and tried to make it into a diesel engine, and it failed miserably. It cast doubt in the United States on the ability of diesel engines to run clean and power automobiles. Everywhere else in the world, they rocketed because of their efficiency and ability to do the job well. In a similar way here, the performance of non-hydraulic or fluid-free solutions isn't generally up to the performance of hydraulics. And so part of what RISE has to overcome is that, yeah, it's a fluid-free solution, but it is so different than anything that's out there today that it's not constrained with the same performance limitations that actuators of today have. And but that's the environment in which we work. We are entering into a marketplace where lower performance is the norm. And we have a solution, a technology now that, users of hydraulics don't have to accept any compromises.
Right.
But they just don't know we're here. And that's, so our biggest issues are awareness and reticence to change.
And that's a big opportunity too, right? Where there's obstacle, there's opportunity. So where do you see that? I mean, I know right now we're in the process of working with Anthony Lifgates to commercialize our first product, but you're even out beyond that as well.
Yeah, we have a number of really strong relationships coming. The one, there's a lot going on with the Air Force. We've become a darling with the Air Force, but we don't want to be a military company. We are doing work with the Air Force, well, because there's some important work that needs to be done, and we're really happy to do that. But we're applying commercially available and privately developed technology to help them solve their problems. And we are gaining some significant traction there, and we're delighted and flattered and to have it, and also some additional commercial traction. That we've been public about our fledgling relationship with Danfoss, which we'd like to see get to the next level, to work on some more specific projects, specific applications, and we're making progress. I don't want to speak for them. I'll let them do that here, hopefully in the near term, and but we're still looking for more partners, and one of the other risks I think I probably should mention is that when we talk about a partnership with one company, our hope is that we frame it in such a way that that traction entices others to work with us too. The risk is that it scares somebody away. Oh, you're working with them? That's exactly the reaction that we don't want. But we know some of that's inevitable. But we're a small company. We're looking to broaden our customer base, and we are. It's a very exciting time. We have more capacity right now. We have a lot of capacity for taking on some additional projects. So we're looking to broaden that customer base. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that.
And I'm not saying it's Volvo that introduced the 3-point seatbelt, but that's something that transformed the way in which you get in and ride in a car, in a vehicle now, and it's not that dissimilar. I mean, we're probably not going to open up all of our IP for anybody to use, but it is something that's really important that should allow for meaningful and significant partnerships.
Yeah, I mean, the analogy, one of the reasons hydraulics is so well established is, 75 years ago, hydraulics displaced cables and pulleys, right? And basically they displaced block and tackle that were based on cables. And very quietly, about 25 years ago, Otis invented this steel reinforced polyurethane belt, and that invention, because of the fatigue strength to weight ratio, I mean, how light that is compared to cable, those belts have completely or almost completely displaced cables in the elevator industry in a very short period of time, 25 years ago. And now we're going back and taking that technology and finding, wow, it's lighter, faster, quieter, cheaper, more efficient than hydraulics. And we're not going to displace a whole industry. There are some places where hydraulics works extremely well, and will continue to work extremely well. But there are some applications where this technology works remarkably well. And you've heard me say this before. We pick things up and put them down really, really well. So we're after those types of applications.
Sure. Well, what are you most excited about? What's coming next?
Well, I'm excited for this weekend. Actually, it's Friday. It's Friday afternoon. What's coming next is some announcements about what the next steps of our development are. There's some really cool stuff going on around, the funding of this business. There's some really cool stuff going on with customers that we're working with, and some, broadening of some relationships and some new relationships that are coming as well. So there's a lot happening. Our team is growing. I think I have to look back. I think I was employee number 11, and we're 18, 19 months ago, and we're 3 times that size now. So we have a great team. We're attracting tremendous people. It's just a really, really exciting time to be part of RISE. And I haven't talked about anything that's going on out, and by what's going on with family and that kind of stuff. But they're really excited about what's going on here as well. And they just like me to be a little more fully retired at some point, but whatever that means. But that'll happen sometime too.
Sometime, yeah, not now.
Not now.
And we're thankful for the opportunity to work with you and have you share your experience, your expertise, and guiding hand through a lot of these different circumstances that are new to a lot of folks at RISE. So this has been really great.
Thank you. A lot of fun. Always fun. Always a lot of fun talking with you, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah. Likewise. Well, this is one of our little sub-series. It's Inside RISE, and we got to know Ken Gray, Chief Product Officer of RISE Robotics today. Ken, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You have been listening to the RISE Inside podcast, presented by RISE Robotics. On behalf of our guest today and host Justin Starbird, thank you for listening. Please share your feedback on our LinkedIn page